Hello and welcome to this tutorial for the board game Honeybuzz. In this game you'll be running your own bee colony to make honey and sell that for money or points. Here's how it goes. You are going to play until something triggers the end of the game. Then you finish the round to make sure every player has had the same amount of turns, and then the game is over. Whoever has the most points wins the game. First, what triggers the end of the game? That can be two things. You have these 3 decks of cards here. If 2 decks are empty, you're in the last round. Or you have these tracks with tokens here. If 4 of these tokens are all the way at the bottom of the track, that also ends the game. You'll know who started the game because that person has this first player token. Make sure to keep playing until the last player has had a turn. Then, when the game is over, you count up all your points. That's not much. You get all the points that are written on these cards that you have collected. You get points for all the money that you have. 1 money is 1 point. For every resource you still have left, you get 1 point. And you look if there are any goal cards that have any points for the end of the game. You might get some extra points for that as well. Next, how do you play the game? Before I explain that, let me tell you how the process goes. During the game, you'll take these tiles to add to your own beehive in front of you. At some point you'll have made a circle with a hole in it. You place these small tiles in those holes. Those tiles will then produce honey, and you sell that honey at the market here for money or points. Alright, now let me tell you how the game goes. What do you do when it's your turn? When it's your turn, you can do one action. And you only have 2 options to choose from. When it's your turn, you can choose to pass. Then you can take all your own bees that you have on this board back and place them in your own area. Or when it's your turn, you can choose to place your bees on one of these spaces to take a tile. That's it. Either take your bees back from this board or place your bees on this board. Let's go into a bit more detail. When it's your turn, it's possible that you can't place any bees on this board. In that case, you pass. You take back all the bees from this board in your own player color. Just place them on this beehive that you have in front of you. And as a bonus, if you want, you can move your own token 1 space on this board. That's all, nothing more. Move it 1 space. You can't move it more than 1 space, and whatever space you land on, nothing happens. Then the other action. When it's your turn and you have some bees left, you can place them on this board to take a tile. If you place it here, you get this tile. If you place it here, you get this tile, and so on. Every single tile is free, except this one with the paper on it. If you want to take this tile, you have to pay 5 money for it. It says so on the board here. There's only one rule for this. If the space where you want to put your bee is empty, you can place 1 bee. But if there is already 1 bee there, then you have to place 2 bees. If there is already a stack of 2 bees in that space, you have to place 3 bees, and so on. You always place them as a stack. And you always have to place that stack that is 1 bee bigger than the stack that is already there. But that's it. When you've placed 1 or more bees, take the tile and immediately add it to the other tiles that you have in front of you. You always place it sideways. You're not allowed to make a straight line. But there might be more. It's possible your turn doesn't end here. If the tile that you just placed did not make a circle with a hole in the middle, then nothing happens and your turn is over. But if you did make a circle with a hole in the middle, something extra happens. All these tiles have an icon on it. As soon as you have made a circle, every icon in that circle immediately gets activated and you can do all the actions that are linked to that icon. You have this information board to help you remember what each action is. I'll explain each one in a moment, but again, when you place a tile that makes a circle with a hole in the middle, each icon in that circle becomes an action that you can do right now. That means that when it's your turn, sometimes you have a lot to do. So, what are the actions that you can do when you've made a circle? If you see this icon, that means you can take 5 money from the bank. If you see this icon of the little larva, that means you can take one of your bees from the general supply and place it on the board here, the bee nursery. As soon as you pass to take all of your bees back, you can also take this new one. Now you have an extra bee to use during your turn. If you see this icon with the flowers, that means you can move your own bee token on this other board that shows all the different types of honey. Your token can move left and right and up or down, not diagonally. You can move your token one space for free, and for every extra step you want to move, you have to pay 2 money. You get the token of the space where you end your movement. Keep it with you. In case the space was empty, then you can take one of these pollen bits from the supply. The color doesn't matter, they're all the same. You can see all these tokens have a different pattern around the edge. That's because if you want to stick them in a hole in your own beehive, the colors need to match up exactly. For example, this token is red here and white here. That means I can only stick that into a hole that is also red here and white here. This one doesn't have that, but this one does, so I can stick this token right here in this hole where it's going to stay for the rest of the game. In case you took a token that can't be placed into a hole anywhere just yet, just keep it with you and place it later when you have created a hole it does go into. But anyway, that's what this action with the flowers does. You can move your bee token here to get these tiles. Next, there is this action that shows a fan. You have a fan, this little thing that you keep with you. When this action gets activated, that means you can place this fan anywhere you like on your own beehive. Place it somewhere next to at least one of those tokens that fill the hole, because you're making honey with this. I just placed this one, so if I put my fan here next to it, then I can take this honey from the supply and place it on top of it. This is how you make honey. Put these tokens in the holes and then fan them. You're also allowed to place this fan between more honey tokens. If I place my fan here, it's not only next to this one, but also this one, and that means I can take this honey token and also this honey token that goes on top of this one. But you can only have one honey. If this is already here, I can't add a second one to it. If I want to get rid of this honey, then I need to make sure I activate this action that shows a seal on it. This is the action that takes you to the market. Here you can sell this honey for money or spend it to fulfill one of these orders. If I want to sell it for money, I can take one or more honey from one particular type for example this one, and I can sell it for the current market price. This is now here on the market. It says this type of honey is worth 5 money. I'm selling 2 of them, so I can take 10 money from the bank. And I end it by bringing this marker down by 1 space. Next time it's worth less money. And as soon as 4 of these markers are at the bottom, the game is over. By the way, if this was all the way at the bottom, I would get this much money for each honey I sell, but since I can't go any lower, I have to choose another type of honey and lower the marker for that. Don't forget, money is points at the end of the game. Another thing you can do with your honey is spend them to fulfill an order. That's what these cards are for. This one is asking for this. So if you have these honey bits in your beehive, you can spend them, and then you can take this card, which gives you this many points at the end of the game. But there's more. Underneath this card, it shows this icon. That's one of the action icons. That means at some point during your turn, you can do this action for free. You can do it immediately or later in your current turn. You end your turn by flipping over the next card. As soon as 2 of these spaces are empty, that's another way for the game to end. And that leaves us with one last action. This one with a piece of paper. The only tile that you have to pay money for. And that's because this action is do any other action of your choice. When you can do this action, that means you can choose one of these other actions and do that. Those were all the actions. One last thing and then we're done. These goal cards, the objectives. If a card shows this crown, that means you look at this at the end of the game. Whoever reached this goal gets the reward. If you're with 3 players, then whoever is in second place can take that reward. If you're with 4 players, then whoever is in third place also gets a prize. If a card shows this icon of 2 flags, that means you can get this goal during the game. Whoever reaches this goal first can take the first prize immediately. And that's it. This is how you play Honeybuzz. Get a tile, and when you place it and make a hole, you get to do all sorts of actions. Look at the icons and then at your information board to see what they mean. I hope you feel like you get it and that it sounds fun. Thank you for watching. Feel free to leave a comment and see you for the next one.